Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of Bolt City Podcast. Dave Palet, Josh Palet, Mario Herron. Again, as the Chargers coming off a 6-0 win against the New England Patriots, playing at home this Sunday, taking on the Denver Broncos. Chance for us to see, of course, Russell Wilson, Sean Payton, a much different team, guys, heading into this game than what we thought we were going to see at the beginning of the year. We honestly thought that Denver was a team that was drowning. There's going to be a miserable time. They're looking for their new quarterback. Russell Wilson starting to look like Russell Wilson. All of a sudden, you look at the standings and you're going, man, how the hell did this happen? Where are we at? Where are they at? Where's the rest of the AFC West at? The deal is, though, guys, because, and I'm not sitting there going to go exactly what the YouTube comments are saying. A lot of people saying that, hey, you guys are too negative. Honest to God, I think this show is the most realistic show that you're going to hear. Yeah, we want to see the Chargers win, but I think we're realistic on where this team stands. And right now, this team hasn't played good quality football, hasn't had very good coaching. But at the same time, they have a healthy quarterback, and a lot of teams in the league do not have a healthy quarterback, yet the Chargers don't continue to win. So let's address where the Chargers are at right now is how I want to start the show. Like, where are they at? Do you still feel playoffs? Do you say, there's hope here? Where do you see the Chargers right now, Josh?
I think the biggest positive thing about the Chargers is that the defense has played better in the last month. People going at my absolute neck in the comments about this, but I agree. The defense, I agree with them. The defense does look pretty good in the last month, but how much weight do you put on that when you're playing against Bailey Zappi and Bajent and Zach Wilson? And I know they did well against Lamar Jackson. Give them all the credit in the world for that. But the defense has played well. I don't know how great they are. I want to see them go against, these next few games with Mahomes and Allen and Wilson to see if they can play well and continue to play well. I actually think the Chargers have had the best quarterback play in the division. And I understand Patrick Mahomes in the division. He is wrecking my fantasy team. He has not been very good. His receivers are a huge reason why he hasn't been the normal Patrick Mahomes. But I think the Chargers definitely have the best quarterback right now. Justin Herbert is making the most with the least. I think he definitely has the least amount of targets right now with only Keenan Allen out there. And I think if the Chargers defense can continue to play well these next few games, there's a chance, like Dumb and Dumber. So you're telling me there's a chance? I think there is a chance.
Yeah, there's a strong argument I think to be made that Herbert's played the best out of all the QBs in the AFC West. I think it's a very strong argument. You look at Mahomes hasn't been exceptional this year, and yeah, you can make the same kind of points there of his targets aren't what he's used to. Doesn't have the best receiver play. He suffers from the drops as well. But yet I look at that and go, you have the best tight end of all time on your roster. So I'll take that with a grain of salt. Raiders have a revolving door of quarterbacks between AOC and Jimmy G. So we can just go ahead and put that in the trash can and kick that down the road. And then Russell Wilson. I was looking up some Russell Wilson stuff today and just doing some research on him, just checking in. And the amount of times he doesn't pass it to Jerry Jeudy and the amount of times that Jerry Judy's wide open downfield is by far my favorite thing I've ever seen in my life. I think it's so funny that he refuses to throw the ball to him. So both him and Jeudy can both kick rocks, but thought that was fascinating. But I really like your point. I think Herbert can sit there and we can say that he's been the best of all the AFC quarterbacks this year, especially in a year where I think the quarterback play has really, really dwindled. And if you don't believe me, we're talking about Brock Purdy for MVP right now and Dak Prescott. Just for an example, when I don't think a quarterback should win MVP this year. But looking into it, Dave, I agree with you. I think we try our best to be realistic, and I'm not going to be realistic about this team because I don't think they're a serious team, and they have a very, very, very tough test today against the Broncos. And for me, this is a do-or-die game.
It is. So you look at the remaining games on their schedule. You got the Broncos twice. You have the Raiders. You have the Bills. I mean, it's going to be tough. And to the point is, are the Chargers favored in these games? Like, I don't know even what the line is right now, Mario. So if you can just pull it up for me, just kind of curious. But will the Chargers be favored? It doesn't always mean anything, but Vegas has a pretty good idea what direction games will usually go. I don't know where the Chargers are at and what they can pull off because we always feel like they haven't played their best game yet. And you keep saying, when are the Chargers going to play their best game? What are we expecting? Well, as we do the show on December 5th, you're going, well, this is the week. We fall for it every single time. And even though you pulled off the win against New England, it was a frustrating win. frustrating game, I should say, because so many things that went wrong that you just want to see the offense move. And what was the game plan going into this? Really, it was one guy that should have got a game ball. I think it was a comment in our YouTube comments that Dicker's the only one that deserved a game ball because he put points on the board. I didn't even realize until after the game. I didn't realize that neither team got in the red zone the entire game. I can't remember that happening, that neither team got in the red zone. And so it was kind of frustrating. I mean, we're this far in with an established OC that should have a relationship with your quarterback, and you can't get in the red zone. I'm not worried about what New England's doing. I'm worried about what the Chargers are doing. So the Broncos coming to town on Sunday should be a very, very exciting. At the same time, when you look at the Broncos coming to town, coming off a loss, if I'm happy to see it. It's not one of those where the Broncos go, "Hey, we got to focus this week." They're going to focus anyway, whether they lost all those games in a row or not. It's still a game inside the division. I'm glad that Denver comes to town going, "Hey, we lost, and we got to question what we do." And the Chargers, should win this game. And I'm still going to say I believe the Chargers can win this game. As Mario put up on the side here for me, Chargers favored by 3. Are you surprised by that Chargers favored by 3 line?
I'm not surprised. It's a home game for the Chargers. Chargers on paper are the better team. Mario brings up Jerry Jeudy. And if you remember, Jerry Jeudy was talking crap about Russell Wilson, right? He was saying that he doesn't think he's very good. And if you ever watch a Broncos game, Cortland Sutton's definitely his favorite receiver, throws the ball to him all the time. Jerry Jeudy is the best route runner on the team. He's actually one of the best route runners in the NFL. I'm biased. I'm an Alabama fan. I've been watching for a long time. If you think about it, every team in the AFC West actually has a very elite route runner. You have Devontae Adams, right? One of the best in the league. Keenan Allen, one of the best in the league. Jerry Jeudy, one of the best in the league. And Travis Kelce, you can make an argument. He's the best at getting open of any tight end in NFL history. Every team has somebody very elite at getting open. It's funny that Russell Wilson's the only one of those people that doesn't throw the ball to his top route runner. I think the Chargers are the better team. I don't think the Broncos are that great. I think the advantage the Broncos have was that they have Sean Payton. I know Sean Payton was a guy that we ragged on a lot, but I think he's really bringing that team together. I know they lost last week, but they've had more complete games than the Chargers. If you look at the Chargers schedule, the Chargers have played one complete game. That was against the Chicago Bears. You're going to say, well, they beat the Jets 27-6. Go look at the box score. The Chargers offense was not good against the Jets. The Bears are the only complete game they've played on all year. And I think the Chargers could do it again. I think the Chargers definitely have what it takes to put complete games together. I don't know why they haven't. We've said it before. One game, the offense plays well. The other game, the defense, is always mixed matchings. I don't know why that is, but this could be one of those weekends where the Chargers put it together and get a good win.
If you kind of look at the Broncos too, they really go off at home. Like it's the road splits that tend to kind of get them. Just looking at their recent couple of games, they beat Green Bay, that was at home, and now Green Bay is this. We can talk about that later, but suddenly a playoff team. They beat the Chiefs 24-9 at home. I'll give them the Bills 24-22, but that was a lot of injuries on the Bills side. Then they take the Vikings 21-20. That was a game I wish I never had to see. Browns, they take 29-12, which is a team that's kind of given up right now, even though their defense is one of the best in the league. But then on the road, they struggle and they lose to the Texans 22-17. So it's kind of a team that rallies behind this mile high, come to our altitude, come play type of situation. And in a spot where, the Chargers are at home and, we always mention the home field advantage Chargers tend to have. Talk about that and think about that as you will. But it's going to be in our stadium. So you have that's going to go for us. And it's going to be kind of I guess it's going to be a true test of, what were you laughing about, Dave?
I'm laughing because it's one thing about Denver. Denver's kind of like the Lakers and kind of like, even the Dodgers when they're on the road. There's a huge fan base. I don't know what it is, but wherever the Broncos are, and I'd give credit to the Broncos over the Chiefs, who, obviously are in a state right now where they're winning a lot. There are Bronco fans everywhere. When they play in Dallas, man, that whole stadium is orange. It is orange all over the place. So as far as the home field advantage, I don't even know, but I think the Chargers are used to it. Just what they do. There are a lot of Charger fans, excuse me, but right now it's December and there are people in Denver who go, I want to get the hell out of the snow. And guess what, Mar? Right now it's 80 degrees in Southern California. There are people who are saying, man, I planned this trip a long time ago. We're going to LA.
Counter, there's some stuff that is legal in Denver, not legal in other places, that make you feel like the snow's the sun. So maybe they're we don't want to travel. We want to be here for a little bit longer. This is heaven. This is the craziest place on earth. So that's a counterpoint. You make it feel like it's a magical kingdom, eh, Josh?
I wouldn't know. Seriously, I would not know about that. I got a question for you guys because we're talking about the AFC West. I'll start with you, Mario. Does it bother you at all that the Chargers are still 3 games behind the Chiefs when it seems like the Chiefs are not what they, have been in the past?
Honestly, no, because there's something about this Chiefs defense that's been really put together, and I think that when you look at the Chiefs, they found ways to win. Like they have a Hall of Fame Super Bowl winning head coach, and they do have that. And we look at the Chargers, we don't have that. We don't have that at all. This guy Staley's not going to sniff Hall of Fame. He might be not even allowed in, just even to visit. So I think that's like kind of like the difference, and that's why it doesn't really surprise me. Plus, I think the Chiefs have just like this winning way that the Chargers just simply do not have. Then when you look at the injuries that the Chargers have too, when you don't really have that winning culture, winning establishment set in, and then you're down to your second guy, your third guy, it's not really that attitude of, all right, it's next man up. It's like, all right, maybe we're in a tough spot. We're not looking very good. And just in the past 2 years, like Chargers have just shown where they can't really beat the playoff teams, but hey, you give us a non-playoff team, we'll whoop on them. And the Chiefs are the opposite. They kind of show up in these bigger games. Now, if you would have told me the kind of stats and the season Mahomes is having, and you're going to tell me Chargers are still going to sit on the top of AFC West, that's where I'd be surprised. And that's where I would kind of second guess everything. But in terms of being 3 games back, Dave, I mean, it's just, to me, it's like, that's just the difference between Reed versus Staley, difference between cultures. I think that's what like the problem is.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. They always keep saying you got to pay for a big time quarterback. Like you have to have a quarterback that's worth $50 million to have success in this league. It is what it is when it comes to head coaches too. And that's always where the Chargers took their shortcuts, and they continue to take shortcuts with head coaches. You need that coach that's going to sit there, whether it's Shanahan, whether it's McVay, whether it's Reed. I mean, you're seeing it now with Philadelphia. You need that coach to sit there and be a key figure on what your culture is. And I think the Chargers have overlooked it forever. The fans feel the same way. I mean, this team was at its best in short memory when they had, Marty Schottenheimer. And still, that wasn't good enough to go to a Super Bowl. But at the same time, that's just where it's at. The Chargers need to make a major decision on that. So it kind of leads me into what I was going to ask you next, because Mario, you're in the Midwest, and Jim Harbaugh, of course, played with the Bears, and he played with the Colts, and he's Michigan's head coach, and he's been suspended 6 games already at Michigan this year, and there's talk he's going to be suspended for all of 2024 if he comes back. Right now, there are 3 teams that Jim Harbaugh is linked to in the NFL, and they're the Bears, and then it's the Raiders, of course, because he has a great relationship with the Davis family, but also he played for the Chargers as well. So, all the talk about Jim Harbaugh being with the Chargers, people go, well, not so sure. If stories are coming out that Jim Harbaugh has spent a lot of time talking about Justin Herbert, how he thinks he's the best quarterback in the NFL, like going on. And you're hearing this multiple times. Josh and I have a pretty good source when it comes to Jim Harbaugh too. That's someone that's been very close to him when he first started coaching. And then here he is now, a guy that has a history in the NFL of winning 70% of his games in the NFL, not just some college guy, but has won 70% of his games in the NFL, went to a Super Bowl. Do you think the Chargers have interest in Jim Harbaugh? And is he a guy that either one of you want?
You talking to me or Mario?
Both of you.
I'll go first. Yes, he's definitely a guy that I want. And you started it off saying that the Chargers have gone cheap on coaches. 100%. Okay. Brandon Staley, no experience, right? Anthony Lynn, not a head coach. Mike McCoy, not a head coach. I don't know why the Chargers would cheap out on head coaches. The Chargers haven't beaten one team with the winning record this season. 0 wins against teams with winning records. Coaches like Andy Reid find a way to win despite the offense not looking good. The Chargers definitely need a coach that can get them over the top and beat the teams they're supposed to beat, frankly, like the Titans, right? And all these other games that they should have won this year. I would absolutely want Jim Harbaugh as the head coach. I would love to have Bill Belichick as the head coach if he's not going to have GM responsibilities. Jim Harbaugh, why would you stay in Michigan? It is a mess over there. I understand that the program is doing well, but like Dave said, who knows if he's even allowed to coach at the beginning of next season. I wouldn't want to deal with all the recruiting stuff. It's just, he seems like an NFL guy to me. Maybe that's just my opinion, but you've heard Mike Greenberg talk about how much he loves Justin Herbert, and he raved about him for 5 minutes of how great he is. He's the best quarterback in the league. Comparing him to Mahomes and Burrow, he'd take Herbert over both those guys. I would definitely want a guy that believes in my quarterback and thinks he can take him to the next level, because I actually do think he could do that.
There's something that Harbaugh has that makes me want him bad. And it's something that we've all talked about it's missing. Harbaugh's a freaking
Moxie.
nut job. Yeah.
Oh, that, yeah.
Yeah. That too. Well, the moxie, the nut job, the physicality of, when you look at his same thing. But like, you remember his Niner teams, you remember his Stanford teams, and like the common theme with all that was like the moxie and like the just physicality. And even when people talk about this Michigan team and they talk about, I was listening to a pod today talking about the matchup between Bama, why Michigan wouldn't want Bama, because Michigan's so physical. They really lean on being that physical of a team, and Alabama's front can match that. And it's like, when have the Chargers had that, right? And that's something that he could bring to the Chargers that I think could be very, very big, is that physicality, that moxie, that little FU, that little nut job where you're sitting there having a meeting with them. It's like, I don't know if you want to talk football with me or wrestle with me or like fight me. And that's kind of like the thing that Jim Harbaugh does. So I really do think, we had this, what was it, 2 years ago when he first beat Ohio State, when it was like reported from his camp or something that he already accepted the job from Minnesota, and then Minnesota was like, we didn't offer you anything. So he definitely wants to come to the NFL. Like, he's definitely coming to the NFL. I think especially if this year, if Michigan wins the title, I think he's for sure gone. It's like, I've accomplished what I want to accomplish. I'm gonna go back to the NFL. I think the Chargers is the best spot for him. The link to the Bears, I get it. He's loved in Chicago. I don't really know why, but like, he's loved here. People like love him. Would he mix in with, I guess, like the Bears culture, what they want? Yes. But to your point, like, I wouldn't want to take it over. That's a hell of a project. I'd rather go somewhere else where like the project is almost halfway done. You just got to put your finishing touches on it.
That's a good point, because I think a lot of people are going to look at it and say, well, if you go to the Bears, there's a chance you have, young Caleb Williams and you have Marvin Harrison Jr., and things are looking up for the Bears. I'm going to turn around, Josh, relax. But at the same time, you go to the Chargers and you have Keenan Allen, and you have Herbert. There's no waiting around period for those guys to figure it out. They've already figured it out as far as what's happening here. One thing about Jim also, the guy has lived in Southern California. He actually got his head coaching start here at University of San Diego before he went over to Stanford. And guess what? He won there. He used to live in Coronado, which is a really nice place in San Diego. He has no problem moving. It's not like, hey, I'm a cold weather Midwest guy. That's not exactly what he is. He's a guy that's a football guy. Here's the interesting thing about Jim Harbaugh, and I covered the Chargers when he was there as well. He was really serious. He'd pick fights with the media over stupid stuff like what kind of sweatshirt are you wearing in practice, and be dead serious, not just like kind of joking around. He would just sit there and so, okay, I will tell the story. So Jim Trotter, most people know who Jim Trotter is. He's the guy that was dismissed from NFL Network, and Jim Trotter's now suing the NFL, and Jim's with Athletic, but Jim was the beat writer for the Chargers, and Jim's very good, Hall of Fame committee, very well respected media member of the NFL. And he basically got dismissed because he would call out, Roger Goodell at every Super Bowl for the progression of what direction the NFL is going. And finally, Roger Goodell's like, this guy's really an employee of mine, and I'm tired of him putting me on the spot on national TV. We're going to get rid of him. And it's still a lawsuit that's unfinished. So when Jim was covering the Chargers, Jim Harbaugh was the quarterback, and Jim shows up for some reason in a day like today in December, where it was kind of cold, even though it's not cold today, and Jim's wearing a San Francisco 49er sweatshirt. Now, I don't know why Jim wore the sweatshirt, but Harbaugh lost his mind. He started screaming at Jim for wearing a 49er sweatshirt. And Jim said back to him, I don't play for the Chargers. What do you care what I wear? And he goes, it's disrespectful for you to wear another team's sweatshirt at our facility. And it turned into a big argument, big fight. And, I'm sitting there looking back and forth like a tennis match, and I could see where Jim was coming from. Like, you don't do that, and I think if I was Jim, I'd probably say Jim Harbaugh. I think I'd probably say the same thing. But the funny thing is, Harbaugh ends up being the head coach of the Niners down the line, and he ends up wearing the goddamn sweatshirt. But here's what I'll say about Harbaugh, why I like him. Okay. Number one, he has a history of winning. Two is, I like the fact that his brother said nobody likes Jim. Like, no one has ever liked Jim. As a kid, he had no friends. He couldn't get along with anybody. He goes, I was the only kid that would even talk to him. He goes, I have friends, but he had zero friends. Their dad was a coach at Western Kentucky for a number of years. They're a football family. This is all they do. To show you this is all that Jim does and how important football is. And I do want a coach that is that guy that you hear never leaves the facility, that sleeps on his couch in his office because he's that dedicated to figure out a way to win. Dude, this is not a shot at Jim. This is a compliment because it's going to come off that I'm making fun of his appearance. Jim's teeth are yellow as F. And you know why that is? Because he's drinking coffee nonstop. Jim is drinking. I don't think he's smoking. Jim is drinking coffee nonstop to stay awake. Even the selection show the other day, what did Jim have in his hand? Coffee cup. Hey, got to get to work. That guy's just down in coffee like a maniac, trying to stay awake, trying to figure out a way to beat you. And that's what I want. I want a guy that's a history of winning and a guy that's dedicated to winning, a guy who hasn't grown old as far as thinking about retirement. His thing's about competing, and that's where I think the Chargers need is a guy like that walks in, boom, changes the culture. There's not one guy in that locker room that would feel like I can step on my head coach. I got news for Brandon Staley. Everyone thinks they can step on Brandon Staley. Everybody.
I can step on Brandon Staley. I can do it. Yeah, he doesn't want to see me.
I mean, he picked up Bosa's helmet when he spiked it in front of him last year. I mean, it was ridiculous.
Do you want a coach that can do a downward dog? I don't. See, football is the only sport where, this is my opinion, tell me if you agree or not. Football is the only sport where the team can take on the personality of the head coach. It's the only sport where that happens.
You're right.
You know, the golfer doesn't turn into his caddy. You know, I'm becoming this guy. The football players turn into the head coach. Baseball, the manager just makes, pitching changes or whatever. Basketball, they drop some plays. Football will literally take on the personality of the coach. You can see that by the Alabama team year after year. The quotes they have from the players, they sound like Saban, right? Minka Fitzpatrick basically sounds just like Nick Saban if you ever hear him talk. I definitely think the Chargers need a culture change. My question would be, would Spanos allow that to happen? I don't know why you wouldn't, because the culture they have now is a losing culture. You definitely need to bring somebody like Harbaugh or Belichick or somebody that can make a radical change to make things different. I think Harbaugh is definitely what the Chargers need. If you see the Ravens, and I'm going to compare him to his brother, you see the Ravens, they don't miss on, drafting, the players showing up to games. I mean, they always come to play, I feel like, the Ravens. The Chargers just do not have that. They're so inconsistent. If Harbaugh can get these guys to play every single game like it's their last, kind of like Michigan, why would you not want that? Another reason why I think the Chargers have an upper hand is because if he gets Caleb Williams to the Bears, that's not the type of quarterback he wants. He doesn't need a quarterback that's going to cry about everything, that needs all the attention. He wants a guy that's more like Justin Herbert, that's all about the team and all about, staying out of the limelight and winning games. And I'm not saying Caleb Williams doesn't want to win games, but for God's sakes, if I was a coach, I would not want Caleb Williams right now. Everything's about Caleb Williams all the time. I definitely would want a guy like Justin Herbert.
The thing I'm worried about is the Kevin Warren Big Ten connection. Does that come into play at all? Like, I know Harbaugh's also not loved by some people in the NCAA. That's been kind of proven the past couple of months. But like, does that come into play at all? Like, was that going to hurt? That's my only thing.
Explain it.
I think
Explain the whole angle.
I think he's looking more for like the personnel. I think he wants the quarterback. At least that's what I would want if I was a coach. I want the quarterback first.
So Kevin Warren ran the Big Ten before he took over as CEO of the Chicago Bears. So that's why, like, there's connection. He worked on expanding the Big Ten. I mean, he's a lot of the reason why the Big Ten is the mega conference with the SEC right now. Like, that was a lot to Kevin Warren. Kevin Warren took over as CEO. He did not hire Poles and he did not hire Flus. So that's why their seats even hotter, and they'll both probably be out the door. And he's finding them a new stadium. So, in similar terms, he's supposed to be this guy that's supposed to transcend this culture and it's supposed to change a lot of things. Apparently, he's pissed off right now. So that's the other worry, is that he would go get Harbaugh because he knows him very well.
All right. So if you're Jim Harbaugh, give me a reason why you would or wouldn't take a job. Out of those three teams, Chargers, Raiders, or Bears, which way would you go?
I'm going Chargers. Yeah, 100%.
What's your reasoning for going Chargers? Just because Herbert's the
Justin
difference
Herbert.
maker?
Justin Herbert. It's the only reason. What do you have with the Raiders? What do you have? You have AOC?
No, I think what you have is you just have the national brand. That's all you have. I'm with you, Josh. Yeah, with the Bears, the thing that's intriguing about the Bears is not only, of course, was he a player with the Bears. There's a connection everywhere. He coached with the Raiders. He played with the Chargers, played with the Bears. He's probably best known for playing with the Bears and the Colts, though, of course. But the thing is, for people that haven't been to Chicago, Mario, tell me if I'm wrong, the Bears are that city's team. They're more popular than the Cubs, more popular than the Bulls, more popular than the Blackhawks. They are the team, you know?
Yeah, it's a football town. It's a football city, football town. Besides when there's sirens going on 24/7, I have to mute my mic every 4 freaking seconds. But it's looking at those three teams, it's a football town. I think that brand and that like the aura, right? Like if you come here and you have a little bit of success, like you're a god. Mike Dick is a god here. He had one good year, and he didn't win a playoff game after the Super Bowl, and like he is a god. And I think that's like the aura of it is like, oh, you get this fresh start, this program where in Chicago you'll eat free everywhere, free Portillo's for the rest of your life. Like, God. But if you go to the Raiders, like to your point, Josh, like I know this started probably like the Raiders I truly don't get because there's so many things that need fixed. Like at least with Chicago, it's like you're gonna have the first or second pick, so like you could do a lot and probably like the seventh pick on top of that. But like Raiders, yeah. You're willing to wait. There's something there, right? Like the bricks are there. You just gotta build it. Like Raiders, it's like here's Max Crosby, and then pissed off all-pro receiver with nothing else. Like that's like the Raiders. Like that to me, that's a job where like you go to die, where you're like, all right, this job's gonna suck. So I don't get the Raiders at all. I would say it's far away. Chargers, obviously, you said it. Herbert. He's the darling. He's the pole.
So basically what you guys are saying, the ball is in Spanos' court. Basically, he has to sit there and say, this is our guy. We're willing to do something we normally don't do. And basically, I'm going to tell the people in the front office to basically sit down and shut up while Jim comes in and does his thing, because that's what we're bringing him in for.
100%. 100%. If you're the leader of an organization that's going the wrong direction, let's switch it up. And to Mario's point, him taking over the Bears sounds a lot like when he took over Michigan, a national brand that needed a fresh start, that he's the guy, and he ended up being the guy. I think the Chargers are definitely the number one choice. If it was me, Bears would be number 2, and then the Raiders would be 3 for all the reasons that Mario just listed. Mario, do you want to get into the YouTube questions?
Yeah, we can get into the YouTube questions. Also, we should do a short 15-minute college football playoff prediction when it starts getting closer. Would love it. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll do that. All right. So, first YouTube question. Shout out to the one YouTube person that said, "Happy birthday, sexy." Love you. Appreciate that. Talk to you later. All right, YouTube question. First one. As a firm believer, this is from the Ghostly Clutch. As a firm believer that all great QBs have a great tight end, aka safety blanket, do you believe that if we took Dalton Kincaid over QJ, our season or record would be different? I truly believe in tight ends, and that it's almost impossible to take them out of the game when they are great as opposed to a receiver. Shout out Ghostly Clutch. Dave, we'll go ahead and start with you. What do you think? What do you think here, man?
Yeah, I mean, someone that actually contributes to the team. I don't care what position. Yeah, first of all, I agree with what he said. I'm a huge fan of that position, and you go if you have a tight end, like whether it's an Antonio Gates, a Travis Kelce, whatever, you have any of these guys that are just outstanding. It changes the game, always has. I mean, it goes all the way back to, for me as a kid, and it's the reason why I started following Charger football was Kellen Winslow. Kellen Winslow was ridiculous and was a mismatch. And then other teams finally figured out, even like 20 years down the line, that they started using guys like Tony Gonzalez and the other tight ends that everybody remembers. But yeah, it's different. But the deal is you wasted a first-round pick. I mean, basically, you went through this season, you didn't have a first-round pick. QJ is terrible. He's terrible. I'm sorry. We talk about it all the time, and people think we're being tough on him. Dude, we aren't being tough on him. This is realistic. He can't catch. You can't rely on him. The quarterback doesn't want to throw to him. The coaches don't want to play him. It's been a complete disaster. The tight end position's great. And to show you how good, as Josh said, with, Travis Kelce is one of the best route runners from the tight end position. He just finds the open spots. He knows when to stop, whether the route says, you go here to here. He just finds where to sit. Gronkowski did the same thing. Man, if we had a tight end that had just some kind of IQ at all, would be great. And unfortunately, we have guys that I don't even know. I'm a Gerald Everett fan. I just don't know if you can rely on Gerald Everett for his health. 1, 2 is I don't know how good he is at his position, because sometimes he disappears. Most of the time he disappears. Who are we kidding? Most of the time he disappears. There's a plays here and there where we're going, man, this guy could be really good. He's one of our favorites. And then we don't get that player that we're hoping for. I will say this, man. I know you're going to go another question. is good as the Chiefs are as far as winning games and still a contender for another championship. Imagine if they did keep Tyreek Hill. I mean, they completely unstoppable. Completely unstoppable. I think it's one of the worst moves in NFL history to let Tyreek Hill go.
For sure. If you had to give the MVP, it has to be Tyreek Hill. He's probably going to end up with 2,000 yards. To answer the question, Mario, I agree with Dave 100%. Chargers, right? The best offenses they've had great tight ends with Winslow and Gates. And I think Kincaid's fine. He's went to USD and all that, Utah guy. Sam Laporta, to me, is going to be one of the best tight ends in the NFL if he's not already. I mean, he's definitely like a top 3 tight end right now. That would have been a guy that would be great for Justin Herbert. Gerald Everett's fine. I think he's really a number 2 tight end if you're going to talk about his skill set compared to, the other starting tight ends, just like he was with the Rams. Parham dropping the ball when nobody's around and wants me to I just get so upset. I just want to punch the TV. I think Laporta, you watch any of these Lions games because they're like the most fun team to watch. Laporta snags everything. He is awesome. And I think if Justin Herbert had a good tight end, maybe in this next draft, I think it'd make a huge difference.
Georgia. Let's get Georgia's tight end.
Yeah, Brock Bowers, exactly.
Yeah. I look, Dalton Kincaid's a talented tight end, and it's obviously a position of need. Do I think our record would be like different? I don't know, because rookie tight ends don't like. There's no rookie tight ends that's done like a Jamar Chase type of year, like rookie year. You know what I'm saying, or like a Justin Jefferson type of year. But like I think season wise, like our passing would probably be up a couple stats. In rankings and EPA and stuff like that. And I think that would go up. I think our future would be off to a lot better start because, Kelsey was obviously one of the best tight ends, didn't really come along until later. Gronkowski was talented, didn't really come along until later. So like these tight ends tend to need a little bit more time to develop. Laporta's just going to get better. So I think we'd be I think our passing statistics would be up a little bit higher. And I think our future would be off to a lot better of a start, be a lot better of a cornerstone. And look, the Chargers had a chances, man. Like Michael Mayer was really piped up. We didn't go for him. Dalton Kincaid really piped up. We didn't go for him. So, in Iowa, I mean, look out for Iowa. Iowa produces tight ends constantly. I mean, they poop out tight ends. And they never get thrown the ball in college. And there's these fantastic blockers. And they, next thing you know, they're in the NFL like, oh my God, this guy can catch. Who would have thought? But I also agree with you, Josh. Everett's a second string tight end. Great second string tight end. Shouldn't be a first string, but amazing second string tight end that can do a lot of great things for you. The other one we have is by Mark Catlin 8553. Shout out to him. His YouTube comment: if we beat the Broncos this week, we said next week, but I'm saying this week because it's this week now. Somehow, in all caps. In the following game, Palmer and Lindsley are available. Should we even bother to bring them back this season with our playoff hopes on life support? Dave Palet from California. What do you think?
You bring everybody back. You're getting a paycheck. If you're healthy enough to play, you bring people back. That's just the way it is. Look, the Jets are the only team that I can think of why you wouldn't rush your quarterback back when he's 40 years old and there's no chance. And you're going, man, if he comes back, he might actually win a couple games. We still don't make the postseason. There's a chance of getting hurt, and we hurt ourselves in the draft. So you don't bring Aaron Rodgers back. But if you're the Chargers, you 100% bring back those guys. There's no guarantee Josh Palmer's going to be on the team next year. You're healthy, you come back. This Joey Bosa thing. Oh, Joey Bosa's injured. He's out at least 4 weeks. We aren't going to see Joey Bosa ever wear a Charger uniform again. That was it.
Yeah, Joey Bosa is number 3 on that list of players I want back. Number 1 would actually be Corey Lindsley. Unfortunately, and this is just me speculating. I know you're not supposed to speak about somebody's health and stuff. We haven't heard anything about Corey Lindsley. It sounds like he's definitely not going to play this season. Fingers crossed that he's healthy and life's more important than football. Josh Palmer, look at the offensive numbers once he got hurt. I mean, right down the gutter. The team has not been the same. Obviously, you want Josh Palmer back. He's the only one of those 3 that I think has a chance to play this year. Yeah, if he's healthy, bring him back. I mean, what else are you doing? You have the whole offseason to rehab and get healthy.
Yeah, I'm with you. Bring him back. I mean, look, especially Palmer. I think Palmer would be huge. The Lindsay thing, yeah, it's very silent, so that's not good. But look, the last spot in the AFC, it's a crapshoot. It really is. And there's a lot of teams ahead of the Chargers that have a pretty tough go at the end of it. And if the Chargers beat the Broncos this upcoming Sunday, I mean, we're on life support, but you get a faster heartbeat if they get this win. You know what I'm saying? So, like, it'd be huge for them. They're going to need it. They need this playoff push. Look, the Bills are ahead of them, but Bills schedule to kill the season is terrible. They're not going to make it. Like, they're just not unless Josh Allen stops throwing picks and becomes Superman. Bengals are on a backup QB. I do not have confidence in them. Good win last night. Congratulations. See you later next time. If they can beat the Broncos twice, they're in a good spot. Colts face a backup quarterback in every single game to finish out the year, which is just freaking stupid. But, like, again, not the most talented team. Like, they could fall. I think if they beat the Broncos this week and you have a chance to get Palmer back, you have a chance to get Corey back, chance to get Bosa back if you can, you get them all back. You get them all back to play. And you try to make this push. Also, with that, though, like, if you're Staley, you need that. Like, you need that. If you're Tom Telesco, you need that, right? Like, the end of the year, if you somehow pull off this miracle, make it to the playoffs, you're probably back next year. You probably are. If you don't make the playoffs, you're out. So if I'm Staley, if I'm Tom, I'm like, yeah, we need these guys back as quickly as possible. So that's why it also makes me to believe that if there's a chance that they're back, I think they're back.
Yeah. Okay. Real quick, looking at the Chargers, 5 games remaining. All right. Just give me win or loss because I'm just curious to know. Chargers at home against the Broncos. Just off the top of your head, win. Mario will say win. Raiders at the Raiders the following week.
It's a short week.
That's short week.
Win.
I'll go win.
Okay. Home against the Bills.
Loss.
Okay. Loss on my end too. At the Denver Broncos.
Loss.
Damn. Okay. And finish out the season at home against the Chiefs.
Probably lost because they're probably going to need it, right, Josh?
I was thinking that. They're going to win, and then they're going to miss the playoffs by a game.
Yeah. That's exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah.
That's exactly what's going to happen. We're going to finally beat the Chiefs. But the Chiefs are going to have to end up playing their guys because they're going to be going for the whole home field advantage deal.
Yeah. You're right. I have a question for – yeah. Sorry, Mario. What were you going to say?
No, I was like, maybe they even don't have the AFC West tied up by then. Like, maybe they have to beat us one more time. Or Raiders have to lose or Broncos have to lose or something. Like, maybe they need, some weird thing.
Yeah. I see, we're big schedule guys. When you look at the schedule and the Chargers play the Broncos twice in December, does that bother you, or do you like that, Dave?
I like it. I like
you
that
like
there.
that. I
would have loved to have the Denver
Broncos.
Okay, I'll tell you why it hurts the Chargers is that their head coach, their coaching staff's better than our coaching staff, so they're going to learn from the first game, and they're going to be better second time around. Plus, they get to play at home. Normally, I would say it's where I think we're the more talented team. I think we are. I would have said that helps the Chargers, but I think Denver's just going to get the answer sheet to everything the Chargers do. That's why I think the Chargers win. Both teams win at home is what I'm going to say.
I just don't like scheduling the divisional opponent in the same month. I think it's lame. It's too college football for me.
I don't like playing a divisional opponent in the first month. I think that's ridiculous. Let's get
I'm against that. I'm against that.
I agree. You play them once at the end of the year and once in the middle of the season. You don't play them at the beginning of the year. It takes out everything from it. Also, the bye weeks. What is this, week 14 of the season? The bye weeks this week. It's like, first off, fantasy football playoffs. Are we nuts? Second off, Jesus Christ. I almost dropped my mic. Second off, why are there you feel bad for the players? Bye weeks in week 14. Is it week 14? It's week 14, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's insane. Like, how poor guys, man. I hate that the bye weeks are this late in the year. And we had week 8 right in the middle of the season. Nobody had a bye week. Like, who's making the schedule over there?
Yeah, that one was stupid. Like, could you imagine a week 14 bye? You're like, dude, I am limping. I couldn't get out of bed this morning.
Yeah,
I can't
go
breathe.
To Denver.
Like, at all. And it's Arizona. Also, the 2 teams that they put on bye, nice guys, Arizona and Washington. Raise your hand if you care. I'm all set.
Yeah,
anyway, I like the question.
I
like the question Mario has on the rundown. What do we hate about the Broncos? All right, I'll go first.
I got a million of them.
Yeah. I hate the Broncos more than the Chiefs. I hate the Broncos more than the Raiders. I've always hated the Broncos the most in the division. One, I think it's the colors. For some reason, the colors just bother me because I think they're ugly. I hate orange.
Well, they're Auburn's colors. They're Auburn's
Yeah, that's
colors.
what it is. Teams I hate that wear orange. I'll go real quick. Texas, Clemson, the Broncos, Tennessee, and Auburn. They all have orange, and I hate all of them. I never liked the Broncos. The Ed Hockley situation, where everybody remembers where we got screwed in Denver on that ridiculous call and missed the playoffs. I think that's really what stems my hate. But the Broncos, to me, have the most annoying fan base, even more annoying than the Chiefs. And they think they're better than everybody. They're real pompous. I never liked the Broncos. The players seem kind of just like dorky to me. I don't know. The Broncos for sure, the team I hate the most.
All right, I love this. 3 reasons why you hate the Broncos. I got a few of them for you too. Here you go. I'll give you one. And for people who remember this game, I believe it was week 1 of the NFL season. The Broncos came to San Diego at the time, and they came out in their home uniforms. And they claimed that they only brought their home uniforms. Now, I don't know why you'd bring your home uniforms, but they made the Chargers go off the field and go after put on their road uniforms at home. That was one.
Why did the Chargers agree to that?
Yeah,
why?
That's
the NFL down the line punished the Broncos by making them wear their road uniforms at home.
No, we're going shirts versus skins at this point.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah,
let's go. Shoulder pads.
You change your, you don't have uniforms? Yeah, put on. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Bo Jackson, cover of the magazine style. Yeah,
but that was
longest yard.
Bo Jackson with the bat like that. That one.
Yeah, with the bat. That one. Yeah. Too bad you guys didn't come prepared.
Yeah. There you go. Other reason I don't like the Broncos, they used to have this guy that would go to the Bronco games. This is one of those where older Charger fans will remember this. He used to literally go, Mario, with a barrel around his entire body. Looked like he was just naked with a cowboy hat and suspenders, and he had a barrel. And he would be at the games dressed like that. Now, 2 things. 1, you can't sit in your chair with a goddamn barrel around you. 2, how do you go to the bathroom? 3, there are kids here. What are you doing, Grandpa, with your junk hanging out? Like, I thought that was weird. Like, why you let that guy in the stadium? Yet the camera always found that guy for every game. 3rd thing, I tried to sell tickets once to a Broncos game, and I got arrested.
Nice.
Oh, happened.
I got arrested. John Elway day. And so I was trying to sell Broncos tickets, and sure enough, the cops put the cuffs on me, and the people I was trying to sell the tickets to, as the police officer turned his head, reached over and they grabbed the tickets out of my back pocket. So when I asked, I go, "What am I being arrested for?" They go, "You're being arrested for scalping tickets." And I said, "I don't have any tickets." And then sure enough, I didn't have tickets on me. They'd take the cuffs off and let me go. But it was the one time in my life where I thought I was going in the back of that car. And guess what, man? It was because of the damn Denver Broncos and John Elway's horse tooth mouth. Yeah. So there you go.
I do. God, there's a lot to have. First off, not a big John Elway fan. I don't know why. Always rubbed me the wrong way.
Because he wasn't on our team. That's why we hate that guy.
Yeah, and he always looked, I don't know, maybe it's the buck teeth. I don't know. Just never really liked the guy. Was he the guy, too, that said that he got drafted and was like, I'm not going to go play for them. I want to play for
Colts. It was the Colts.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it was the Colts.
Yeah. Dude, he refused to play for the Baltimore Colts, said, I'm not going there. And he said, I'm playing for the New York Yankees instead. And signed a minor league contract to play for the Yankees.
Yeah. So, wow. Nice, all high and mighty. Yeah. I don't like that. So, that I'm going to add that to the list. But I had 3 things I wrote down. 1, out-of-date uniforms. This is not 1999 anymore. Let's change up the freaking uniforms. The Arizona Cardinals were bad with this too. They're the next up. The little like stripe thing that go like around the chest, kind of on the side. That looks awful. That looks god awful. That's embarrassing to society. Take that off. Your helmets look terrible. Throw that in the trash can. That's terrible. Mile High Stadium being in high altitude. Good for you. God, do you want a cookie? Being in high altitude, like, come on, screw off.
Have a choice.
I know, but I hate that. Like, it's like, well, they have the ultimate home field advantage. Like, I can't stand that. Like, I don't know why that bothers me to no end. People in Denver too, like, Josh, you'll get this. Like, it's like it was like the trendy thing to go move to Denver, like after college, you go ski. It's like, it's not that pretty. Nice. Mountains are everywhere. Cool. Let's move on. Like, that's no. Overrated city. And congrats, you can ski. Yeah, there's fake snow. You can ski anywhere now. There's fake snow. Oh, you want it? You want it harder snow? All right, let me go tell Billy Bob that controls a snow machine. You get harder snow. Like, congrats. It's not that freaking hard anymore. Welcome to technology. 21st century, Buck Rogers. And then Jared Judy just being Jared Judy. His whole thing with Steve Smith of how he was like so pissed off and then followed up with like a 2 reception performance or whatever it was. Pretty annoyed. Look, dude, part of your job is you're gonna get critiqued by the media. I understand sometimes you probably don't like what they say, but when you're gonna act like you're like this top dog, be the top dog. You know, I think there's nothing funnier, but also like annoying than like said athlete in an interview or on a pod or a show saying that they're the best at their spot. There's one, the best example I just saw this is the barbershop show when Chase Claypool was like, I'm the best receiver in the league. And they're like, yeah, talk your game, talk your game. I'm like, you're on your 4th team. You're like 26, dude. You're on your way out. I'm nuts. But yeah, that stuff, that's all I'm all set for. Russell Wilson too, that sucks. Let's sit down on the airplane over to LA.
All right, so we're going to be back in a couple days. We're going to break down a little bit more of this game. We'll give our predictions as well. I'll tell you right now, picking games last week, Mario was the only one that had a winning record. Okay, congratulations, Mario. You were 7-6.
Birthday wish.
5-8. Here's your birthday wish. Just win enough to cover the VIG. That's about it. But it's we'll try and do better this time as well. Go ahead.
Wait, one quick question because I wanted to backtrack this. And I just remembered it. Shout out ADHD. Josh, you really hate blue and orange that much? The Bears blue and orange doesn't look bad.
Bears are no threat to the Chargers or Alabama football.
Okay. Also, fair point. It's fair point. Auburn's unis also suck. Also, very, very much suck.
Very plain.
Yeah,
they don't even know what they are. Are they a tiger or are they a war eagle? What are they? They don't even know what they are.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Good point.
Why is it Auburn Tigers and War Eagle?
Why does an eagle fly around the stadium at the beginning of the game? I have no idea.
Yeah.
You want to make something cool? Yeah. You want to sit there and embrace it? Why don't you let a tiger out of a cage and let it run around the stadium and then come back and see how cool the fans think it is? Not so cool, is it? Not so cool.
Yeah.
You know,
dude, if you let out,
if you just that tough thing, go ahead.
Dude, if you let out a tiger and I was on this, if I was Josh Palet and they let out a tiger, I would take my pads off. I'd book it. Dude. I'd be out of that stadium.
Can you imagine you just let a tiger out of the cage and just go get him? We assume it's going to come back. Yeah, okay. It's going to eat like 3 kids before it gets back to that cage. Yeah, stupid. Hate that school. Anyway, all right, we'll be back in a couple days. We'll talk Charger football with you again. Get ready for the Denver Broncos. We'll be picking games as well. Leave your YouTube comments. There's a chance we're going to read it on there, obviously. And more and more of you are participating. Absolutely love it. What I do want more people to participate in is give us a prediction on the score. It's easy to go in and talk a lot of crap afterwards, but let's go. Put your score down. And then let us know what you think. What's the score going to be on Sunday? And then, of course, we'll follow up Sunday's show with another show. So it'll be a good time. We'll be back in a couple days. Thanks again for listening to the Bolt City podcast through the Odyssey app. And again, your comments on YouTube and watching on YouTube, we thank you for that as well. So for Mario Herron, Josh Palet, I'm Dave Palet. We'll see you in a couple days.
Love you guys.